Hare Krishna, Namaste. Chapter 14 is entitled as Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Please, that Krishna is going to teach us the knowledge of the gunas, delivers one from the samsara and provides the supreme goal, which is above and beyond the samsara. The second sloka, today's sloka, which is the subject for our study, says that this knowledge removes the undesirable aspects in the path of liberation and provides desirable aspects. Now let's learn the meaning of the verse. Idaṁ jñānam, this knowledge, not the one which already told, the one which Krishna is going to impart now. Therefore it is different knowledge, though the subject is same. Upāśritya, acquiring, mama sādharmyam, my nature, āgatāḥ, having attained, sarge api, at the time of creation again, nopajāyante, will also not be born, pralaye, during the period of cosmic annihilation, vyathanti, will not suffer from the contraction of knowledge, etc. Translation: by becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Ishta prapti, anishta nivriti. That means favorable ones are attained and those things which are not favorable are removed. The unfavorable things are to be born into this world, whereas favorable thing is to not be born into this world. That doesn't mean in a stage of pralaye, in a dormant state, because that is also not good. Sometimes people have an idea that birth is full of difficulties. Therefore, not taking birth is the greatest happiness. But that's not true. It is true to some extent, but people's idea is in the pralaye stage, in the dissolution state, when there is no creation, maintenance, etc. happens, that they think is a stage of moksha. But that's not true. It's a temporary state where the living entities are in a dormant state. When the time of creation comes, everyone have to take birth into this material world. Therefore, pralaya, or not taking birth and being in a pralaye state, is not moksha. Or sometimes people think that death means attaining moksha. That is also not a correct understanding. It's all completely depends on one, karma. Unless the karma is completely gone, one cannot be free from taking birth again or put into a pralaye stage for the next cycle of creation. So what is being said here? Idaṁ jñānam, knowledge regarding the three gunas that will be described in this chapter will free one from becoming the target of creation and target of destruction. or dissolution. One may ask a question, well, if one is free from creation, that means is not going to be born. Obviously, that person is not going to be destroyed. He will not die. So why this two has to be told here? So this is why we discussed earlier, just few minutes back, that no creation does not mean there is no dissolution. Dissolution or a pralaye is a stage, is a period, whereas creation is another stage and period. In between pralaye and creation, there's a maintenance in between. So all three happens. When there is no creation, when it's not creation stage, then it's a pralaye stage, the stage where everything is in an unmanifested state. So, sarge nopajāyante does not get created during the creation, nor pralayena vyathanti get destroyed or stay in the pralaye stage. Na vyathanti, do not suffer from the expansion and contraction of the jnānam. Meaning, the jnana becomes active, one's knowledge, consciousness becomes active during the creation stage, whereas the same consciousness is contracted, is suppressed during the pralaye stage. So, the point to be understood here is that one who gains this knowledge about the gunas will not be born with a body of various types of deva, manushya, etc. during the creation time and suffer because of that. Birth means going through various experiences, and also during the pralaye stage, one will not be put into that dormant state where his knowledge is contrasted, where he is without the senses, etc., and just be like a non-sentient entity. In the pralaye stage, it is the jivatma and the matter all together, where it appears as if everything is a non-sentient entity. Therefore, taking birth is considered dukkham, suffering, whereas being in the pralaye stage without the senses, without the knowledge being active, is considered to be mahadukkham, greater suffering. Both the suffering, one is during the creation with various bodies, two during the pralaye without any bodies and senses, and the knowledge, the consciousness is in its contraction stage, will never happen to one who gains the knowledge of three gunas that Krishna is going to explain to us. That Atma attains the pure state and be in blissful condition by not being tossed between creation and dissolution. Now that covers majority of this sloka except one very important topic, that is mama sādharmyam āgatāḥ, which means one attains my nature, or by having such knowledge about the three gunas, one becomes like me. So the very first philosophical point that we derive from this line, from the sloka, is that Atma is not one, there are many. Ishvara and Jivas. Ishvara is one, that Supreme Lord is one, and Jivas are many. That point is very clear here. Now, what needs to be cleared is when Krishna says, one will become like me, does it mean the Jivatma becomes God, or does it mean that Jivatma merges with God? What does it mean? When Krishna says, Mama sādharmyam āgatāḥ, Krishna speaks about samyapati, that the Jivatma attains certain qualities of the Supreme Lord. In that way, he becomes like the Supreme Lord. Whether the living entity attains Kaivalya moksha or Vaikuntha moksha, in either case, one attains certain qualities of the Supreme Lord. The qualities that the liberated Atma attains are 8 in number, which has been explained by the Chandogya Upanishad. Apahada papma, vijaraha, vimrityuh, vishokaha, vijigitsaha, apipasaha, satyakamaha, satyasankalpaha. It is said, the liberated soul will be without sin, without aging, without death, without lamentation, without hunger, without thirst, whose desire is true and whose every desire get fulfilled. These are exactly qualities of the Supreme Lord, which the liberated Atma will also attain. In the 13th chapter, 13th Sloka, in part 2, we learned about how the Jivatma is also termed as Brahma. That is because of the same reason. The liberated Atma get these 8 qualities. Hence, in that context, the living entity is also called as Brahma. So let's be very clear, not get confused when Krishna says one becomes like me or attains my nature, that they become God. It simply means that the liberated Atma derives certain qualities of the Supreme Lord. That's all. To conclude, this sloka says what are the desirable things that one attains by gaining the knowledge about 3 gunas, and what are the undesirable things that one will be free of. So the undesirable things for everyone is not to be part of creation or dissolution, and desirable is to attain uninterrupted bliss in liberated state. In the previous chapter, we learned that the substance called Prakriti is always combined with the 3 modes. It was said that all beings are born only from the conjunction of Prakriti and Jiva, and it is that these 3 gunas binds the living entity into this samsara. Various bodies like Deva, Manushya, etc. are simply because of this combination between Prakriti and Jiva. And in the 2 following verses, Krishna declares that it is He who brings about this association. When they come into this connection, they develop certain desires, etc., and start acting accordingly and get further attached for certain desires. So this will be the subject for the upcoming 2 slokas. Idaṁ jñānam upāśritya mama sādharmyam āgatāḥ sarge nopajāyante pralaye vyathanti cha. Namaste. Hare Krishna.